Yes, and we are live. Thank you so much for joining me. I see you, Miss Idaya. Welcome to today's live session. Welcome, Miss Abiola Bello. Thank you so much for joining me. Yes, and we are live. My name is Marufa Otolori, and I'm the founder of Lola Loves Parenting. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about how emotional intelligence can translate to your child's success. We already said the month of April is going to be dedicated to, being intentional on how we can be emotionally intelligent. I've shared it a lot of times that we as parents mostly pay attention on the intelligent quotient of our children, neglecting our children's emotions and feelings and all of that. However, we are about to change the narratives. Things are going to change henceforth. I like to say that when we know better, there's every possibility that we're going to do better, right? And before we continue this session, don't forget to share this link with your family, your friends, your colleagues at work, if you're a student, with your friends that are parents, right? So let them also come and benefit from this awesome session, right? So how emotional intelligence can translate to your child's success. A lot of times we parents, we raise children without emotional intelligence. And I can liken that to saying that because our children is of age, our children is an adult, our children is like 18 years, we hand them the keys of a car without teaching them how to actually drive, right? So that's exactly how not raising children with emotional intelligence, that is how it is, that right? We can relate it to that, right? As we go on, there are several things that I'm going to talk about that I would really want us to go and reflect on. I want us to go and think about after this session. But before I go on, let me know that I'm not alone. Yes, I've seen Miss Mariam's message. Miss Idaya, Miss Abiola Bello, please kindly share something and let us know that you are with us and you're not multitasking. Yes, that's the word. Let me know that you're with me on this session. You're not multitasking. You're fully here with me, right? I will expect your message, right? We need to know that as parents, if we lack emotional intelligence, thank you, Miss Idaya, right, we'll definitely raise children that will also lack emotional intelligence. Like there's nothing we can do about it. We are together. Thank you so much, right? So a parent who lacks emotional intelligence raise adults who grow up to repair what has been broken in their childhood. I'll take that again. A parent who lacks EI, who lacks emotional intelligence, raise adults who grow up to repair what has been broken in their childhood. I say it a lot of time that a lot of us parenting now were actually going around with one wound on the other that we're yet to heal from, that we're yet to repair. And that is affecting the way we raise our children. That is affecting the way we parent our children. So that is why emotional intelligence is something that is very crucial on this journey. It is not something that we can do away with. It's not something we can just say that, okay, yes, we didn't have it, or our parent didn't give it to us, and we're going to continue, because it is a lack of emotional intelligence that makes our parents to do a lot of things to us. A lot of things that we're now replicating to our children. Our parents did what they were supposed to do, but a lot of them did it without emotional intelligence. Because if parents are really emotionally intelligent, then we will not find ourselves in a place whereby we do certain things to our children, then we tell them again how to react to such situation. Have you found yourself in a place whereby maybe you were angry and out of annoyance you beat your child, and after you finish beating your child, you tell your child to stop crying, not to cry after you have beaten that child? Excuse me. Have you found yourself in that situation? It's because of a lack of EI. You beat someone, then you dictate how the person reacts. The person is definitely going to cry because it hurts. But we find ourselves in spaces whereby these things happen, right? It is just because of a lack of emotional intelligence. A lot of parents are only living without surviving, without thriving. Sorry. We're only living and surviving without thriving. And that's why I like to tell people that's why a lot of time, the way we were raised, the ideology the programming that we have is just that: finish from school and get a job, right? It is a living mentality. It is a surviving mentality. It's not a thriving mentality, right? It's usually because of a lack of EI, right? So due to lack of self-awareness, which comes from the lack of emotional intelligence, that's why we have so many people that are just living, that are just surviving without thriving. When you are living, when you are not thriving, it means that you are not taking, you're not making use of that potential that has been given to you by God, right? And a lot of us are on this table. A lot of us are on this table, right? And unfortunately, we're repeating the cycle. It's the same thing. we say that you can't give what you don't have. It is what you have, that's what you give. And I love to say that when we know better, we'll do better. So what happens to children who grow without emotional intelligence? Let us start from there. So when we know exactly what happens to children without emotional intelligence, then we'll now understand. We'll begin to put ourselves in a place whereby we'll know how emotional intelligence actually translates to our children's success, right? Children without emotional intelligence have increased risk of mental health issues. Why is this happening, right? It is mostly because of a lack of fulfillment. Right? It is mostly because of a lack of fulfillment. People just live, people just do what they do. We have two people that are very rich. When you say people are rich, they are rich, but they are not fulfilled because they are not doing that thing that they have been destined to do. There is no self-awareness for them to be able to do that thing, right? So there is an increased risk of mental health issues. Adults without emotional intelligence are more prone to anxiety, they are more prone to depression and other mental health issues. And this is what causes us to be overwhelmed. I always say that when we find ourselves in a structure whereby, in a very structured structure, right? A structured system, let me put it that way. You find yourself that we're going to be overwhelmed because we're not used to having a structured thing, right? You start, a lot of parents, I can set an example from people that enroll for courses. People enroll for courses, they pay for these courses and they find it very difficult to follow through with these courses. It's usually because of a lack of EI. A lot of time, come and give the excuse, we don't have time. We don't do this, we don't do it. It is usually because of a lack of self-awareness, because of a lack of, emotional intelligence. One will struggle to cope with life challenges. One who does not have emotional intelligence. Adults who lack EI always suppress their feelings or they explode. It's too extreme. It is either you're suppressing it because you don't want trouble. And that's why when you have issues with people, when you have issues with, maybe spouse, parents, and all of that, because you don't want trouble, you suppress that feelings. You keep suppressing, which causes the mental health issues. So it's too extreme. It's either you keep suppressing or you explode one day, right? You explode on the people around you instead of communicating in healthy ways, right? And a lack of being able to communicate in healthy ways is going to constantly lead to stress that eventually leads to overwhelm, anxiety, and depressions and all of that, and other mental health issues, right? So that's one thing. If we are, as parents, if we always find ourselves in a situation whereby we find it difficult to handle stress, we find it, we find everything overwhelming for us, we find it difficult to follow through structures, we find it difficult to follow through routine, we find it difficult to, to be consistent with the things that we do. It's usually because of a lack of emotional intelligence, because we have not been able to put ourselves in a place whereby we're able to understand our emotions. We have that self-awareness to deal with those emotions, right? There was a study by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that found out that individuals with low emotional intelligence, they have difficulty managing negative emotions, which leads to higher rates of depression and anxiety, right? So this is not just a hearsay. This is not just something. There's a research on it that has proven that people that lack emotional intelligence, they find it very difficult to manage negative emotions. As we journey on, I'm going to tell you my personal story, right? You need to know that your emotional temperature will be gauged when something significant hits you. You might not necessarily know that you lack emotional intelligence, maybe before you had children, right? Before you had children, you might not necessarily know that, you lack emotional intelligence because, of course, you're just living life. You feel that you're a calm person. You feel that you're collected and all of that. But the moment you start having children, you see all of those things will start. It's just like you looking at the mirror. You're just going to be seeing yourself in it, right? So you can only gauge your emotional temperature when something very significant hits you. I shared a story, on my catalog yesterday when I was talking about EI. And I said that when 5 years ago, when I gave birth to my second child who just clocked 5 in February. I usually say this a lot because I love to document memories that has to do with all of these things because they are very important. I journal a lot because it helps on this journey, right? So after I gave birth, like some weeks after, my mom was still with me, and she took care of me. She did everything. Then she went back. She went back to where she was based. I was based in Ibadan then. My parents were based in Shagamu in Ogun State, right? So after she went back, a week after, not even a week after, maybe like few days after, I didn't get the news immediately because, of course, I just gave birth. Some months after, it was some weeks after, I got the news that my mom was missing. It was not something that I was never expecting it. Like, what could have happened? Although, yes, there are backlog of mental health issues with her. So I got that story, that's news, that's very sad news that she was missing. And, I just gave birth. There was every possibility. It was not even up to 40 days. It was not even up to a month because I remember that my child was not up to a month back then. So I knew that this was a very, trying phase for me, right? But I got to know that my level of emotional intelligence is something that is really high because I was able to, with the help of what I know, with the help of, God, I was able to manage the situation. I had a toddler who was about 2 years then. Then I had a baby. I was all alone. She was the one that was with me, taking care of me and all of that. Then she went back. And this happened. I knew that there's something that I later learned after the whole of that thing, that if you actually want to, take hold of your emotions, you need to name it to tame it. I think I've said it before. You need to name it to tame it. Then I kept telling my child, my toddler that didn't even understand anything. It was 2 years, of course. And I kept telling him that mommy is missing, or, grandma is missing. I was telling him like he understood what I was saying, like grandma is missing, grandma is missing. I knew that I could slip into postpartum depression. I knew that if I didn't handle that situation the way I did undo it, there was a lot of things that could have, because I was still, when Yoruba say that I was still in Aratutu, I was still wet, I just gave birth not even up to a month, and this happened. So I started to think about it, but then I didn't want it to affect me because I know the genesis of whatever it is that has happened to, and I didn't want history to, repeat itself. I was able to undo things. I will tell you that I can say that year, because it happened in March, I can tell you for a fact that was like my most productive year. I didn't know, maybe it was out of fear, maybe it was I didn't know out of what I was able to do. But I will tell you that was the year that I was most productive. Why am I saying all of this? If big things do not hit you, you would not know if you are able to manage your emotions or not. And that is why when you get to that stage whereby you start parenting your children and things start to happen, things that you never expected, or when you have a very high expectation of your children or something, and those things start to happen, this is when you start to know that, no, I am not emotionally intelligent. Because emotional intelligence has to do with resilience, being able to bounce back after maybe a tragedy or something. So when you lack emotional intelligence, when something that is very hits you, when certain things happen to you, maybe you hear that your daughter, was impregnated, or your son impregnated somebody, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, or, they tell you that your daughter has impregnated somebody, like I said, a lack of emotional intelligence wants to either suppress it, and you'll not be able to talk about it. I know that I agree, because, of course, I could talk about it the moment it happened. I could talk about it. I could even tell the people, someone that didn't understand anything. I could tell the person that, okay, this is what is happening. I was able to tame it. I knew that my children needed me so much, because a baby that doesn't even know anything, I knew that he needed me so much. It didn't stop my toddler's tantrum. It didn't stop everything that was happening around me, because they didn't even know that something happened. But emotional intelligence will put you in a place whereby you get to understand that whatever happens to you is 10%. How you either react or respond to it is the remaining 90%. Right? So if those things do not hit you, or if certain things that do not used to happen, maybe negatively happens to you, then you get to know that you know that you actually lack emotional intelligence, right? So you want to get into the mastering emotional intelligence as a parent course as we journey on, because this is something that you really need on your journey, right? Let's go on, right? I bet you that if you enroll for this course, this is something that is going to change your life, right? Don't think about whatever it is that you're going to be sacrificing for it. Just get into the class and come and learn what it takes to actually put yourself in a place whereby you are not overreacting. You're not reacting impulsively to situations around you, because this is something that is very important, even for your own personal growth as a person. Then for you raising your children also, this is something that affects every aspect of your life, right? So a lot of time, what is wrong with us is not because something is wrong, right? I want you to listen to this very well. A lot of time, what is wrong with us is not because something is actually wrong. What is wrong is that we are unable to manage what is wrong with us. Something has happened, it has happened. Right? It is not that thing that is happening that is making us to overreact. It is because of the fact that we do not have enough knowledge. We are unable to manage whatever it is that is wrong with us, and that's why we can be everywhere. Right? You only be able to deal with overwhelm due to self-awareness. That is the only time you'll be able to deal with yourself. That is the only time you'll be able to understand that, okay, yes, I am currently in this phase of my life. How do I handle it in order for me to bounce back, in a way that I'm supposed to bounce back, in a way that whatever it is that has happened to me will not continue to affect every other things that are not supposed to be affected in my life, right? So you'll be able to handle big emotions better the moment you become emotionally intelligent. That's one thing you should know. And when we say big emotions, I said it last week that parenting comes with lots of emotions, both positive and negative, right? And if you're not emotionally intelligent, you won't be able to find yourself in a place whereby you are able to undo emotions. You are able to undo big emotions, right? So emotional suppression has been related to weakening immune system. That's it. If you're in a place whereby you're always suppressing your emotions, something has happened, and because you feel you don't want trouble, you just want things to go on, you suppress. It has been researched that it's weakens the immune system and increased risk of cardiovascular diseases. So people with a lack of EI are more prone to heart attack. That's just a simple thing. They are more prone to heart attack because, like I said, that it is not whatever that has happened to you that is the problem. That's not what is wrong. It is your inability to manage that situation effectively that is actually the problem. Right. And what happens is that when you lack EI, of course, like I always say, you can't give what you do not have. You cannot give what you do not have. Parenting is something that is replicated. It is what you do. That is what your children will learn from you, not even from what you say. It is what you do. That is what they will see and also do the same. Right. So if one lack emotional intelligence, there's every possibility that everything is just going to be chaotic. And you will be unable to deal with lots and lots of things. We have so many people that, they are going to start a business, but to continue with something that's going to be very difficult because of emotions, because they are not motivated, because they are not self-aware, because they do not understand a lot of things, right? So a lack of understanding of who you are will crumble you when chaos comes. That's it. If you are unaware of who you are, which stems from you being emotionally intelligent, a lot and lot of things will crumble, will bring you down, right? Another thing that happens to children who grow without emotional intelligence, that they're going to have a poor relationship quality, right? There's going to be poor relationship quality. A lack of EI will bring about a lack of empathy, right? And if you were present in class last week, I spoke about how important empathy is in even making impact in life. Empathy is something that is very important, because if you're unable to put yourself in other people's shoes, you will not be able to understand their problem, let alone solve the problem. And like I always say, that the world that we are now is not for children who can cram fat. It is for people who can actually solve other people's problem, right? So a poor communication skill, right? That's what EI does. When you have, it makes you have poor relationship quality. And why are you having poor relationship quality? Because you lack empathy, you lack communication skills, and all of these are needed for a healthy relationship. Think about it. When we talk about relationship, any type of relationship at all, professional, spousal, parent-child relationship, relatives and all of that, EI is something that is very, very important, right? And if you lack it, there's every possibility that you have poor relationship, quality. A lot of time, we see that even, marriages crumble because of a lack of EI. If one person does not have EI, in a particular relationship, and the other person does, things are still manageable. But the moment none of the spouse or none of the people that are in this relationship have emotional intelligence, it is something that it is a relationship that they are going to, struggle with. And it is something that can crumble a relationship, right? So a lack of EI is something that will make us to be in a wrong circle, because you do not understand yourself. There's a lack of self-awareness. So you continue to be in a circle that is not even giving you the benefit that it should give you. You continue to be in a circle that is not making you grow. You continue to be in a circle that is just there, that is just about, gossips and all of that. A lack of EI is something that can put people in that particular situation. And you agree with me that we have so many of these, bad behavior characters and all of that, right? So a lot of time when people, I like to say that when you talk about certain things that we need to put in place, we might have made these mistakes as parents, but the main reason why we're intentional on our parenting journey is because we do not want to make the mistakes that our parents have made, and even the ones that we have made, because a lot of us have actually made some mistakes that are very big ones, right? A lot of time people just come and tell you that we turned out okay, they did the things that they did to us and we turned out okay. I don't know what we use to judge our okayness. Is it the fact that we wake up very early in the morning and we're shouting, yes, bring your bag, bring your lunch bag and all of that? How does it? Then after all of the noise, the child goes to school, damaged, and you that you're even at home, or you're going to your office, you start battling with headache, right? Or is it the beating for a mistake that we can also make? A lot of time when we sit down and think about all of these things, we will know that there are certain things that we really need to work on. We didn't turn out okay. But because we do not want to take responsibility for our actions, we do not want to do better, it's just like a mask that we keep wearing, that, we're doing fine, we're making money, we are religious, we're righteous and all of that, we turn out okay. And there are certain, several things that we can actually work on. But because we do not want to take responsibility, we keep wearing that mask of being okay, right? Being able to follow through a structure and put yourself in order is a function of being able to manage your emotions. If you're able to manage your emotions, you won't be able to put yourself in a place whereby you're able to follow structures, you're able to follow order, and you're able to function well in whatever it is that you do. An emotionally unintelligent adult almost misinterprets other people's emotions. right? And that including our children's own. We misinterpret it. We say things like, is that why you're crying? Or we say things, yes, mostly, is that why you're crying? Or why are you even crying, right? That's a question that we also ask. Why are you even crying, right? So we need to know that an emotionally intelligent adult almost misinterprets other people's emotions and struggle without empathy, right? And they find it hard to communicate effectively, which leads to constant conflict. It also leads sometimes to failed marriages. It leads to broken relationships, right? A lot of times, so many parents will come and say things like, I don't have friends, so my children are my friends. Lack of EI, trauma, that's what it is. If you're on that table, whenever you say things like that, my children are my friend, I don't have friends, so friends cannot be trusted. There's a problem. Yes, there's a problem. It is usually our inability to maintain relationships that puts us in that place. Our children are not our friends. But because we lack AI and we're unable to, keep a relationship, manage a relationship, we want to pick our children as our friends. We will now start giving them the expectations that we shouldn't even give to them, right? So every relationship thrives on principles, right? We should leave that era. And that's why I keep saying something that if your parenting journey does not change you, nothing else is going to change you. Take that from me. I would appreciate if somebody can help me put that in the comment section. If your parenting doesn't change you, nothing else is going to change you. Because if you see yourself in a place whereby, whatever it is that my children are going to be, they are mostly going to be, a function of whatever they see me do. And you don't strive as much as possible to do better, to do things in a way that, when you see your children do the same thing, you know that, okay, yes, this is okay. If your parenting doesn't change you, then nothing else is going to change you. Nothing. Right? So a lack of emotional intelligence is what makes us to fight everywhere. That's it. We still have parents that still go to their teachers, to their children's school to go and fight teachers, to go and fight people. Why? Because there's a lack of emotional intelligence. We have not put ourselves in a place whereby we see ourselves as leaders, right? If your parenting doesn't change you, yes, nothing else will change you. Nothing at all is going to change you. Or tell me, when exactly are you going to change? When exactly will you be able to change the things? A lot of people come and say that, that's how me I am. That's how me I am. That is mediocrity. Yes, it is the language of mediocrity. You are doing something, either you are doing something wrong or you're not doing it as well like you're supposed to do it. And when you are being corrected for it, you say things like, that's how I am, that's how I am. It's mediocrity. It's a lack of emotional intelligence, right? So a lack of emotional intelligence is what makes us to fight everywhere. At work, with our colleagues, with our children, in marketplaces, and we're just everywhere. It is a lack of emotional intelligence. Because if you do have emotion control, self-control, which is a core part of emotional intelligence, you will not find yourself fighting. You will not find yourself always fighting. And that's the same thing that we do with our children. We fight our children because we want them to do a certain things. There's no how. Let's just sit down and think about it. If you're always fighting with somebody and you want that person to comply with you, it's almost going to be impossible. Because you keep fighting me and you want me to do something for you. You want to get something from me. It is almost impossible. Right? But a lack of EI will always put us in that situation. A lack of EI will always want you to want to continue, to fight your relatives for, I don't know. Right? So EI will make you to understand that it is not everyone that is going to like you. Emotional intelligence will put you in a place whereby you get to understand that it's not everyone that is going to like you. It is not everyone that is going to love you. And you'll still be able to thrive. I like to tell people that if there's a certain place that you want to get to, right? You don't need to beg to get to that place. You don't need to buy yourself into that place. Just keep growing. Just keep making yourself better and you'll get to that place. You definitely get to that place. So it is because of a lack of emotional intelligence that you see people fight around, fight your children, do this, I don't know. You put your children in a situation whereby they feel hurt, they feel damaged, they feel cheated, and you still want them to listen to you. How? It is not something that is possible. And this is just exactly because we keep replicating whatever it is that we have learned. I keep telling people that parenting is something that is learned. I learned it. And whatever results that I share today, I like to tell people it is because I have learned one or two things. If there's a particular thing that you struggle with, try to get more knowledge about that thing. And you see how beautifully those things are going to turn out, right? Let me not digress too much, right? A lot of time, people come and say things like, we come to the conclusion that, yes, parenting is difficult. You struggle to parent. Yes, parenting is hard. Yes, I agree that parenting is hard. However, it is not all of us that are struggling in parenting. It is not all of us that are struggling in parenting. Yes, parenting is hard. I like to say it is hard work. It is not stress work. But when people say things like, it is everybody that is struggling in parenting, it is not everybody that is struggling in parenting. Newsflash. It is not everybody that is struggling in parenting. So some parents are doing things differently. That is not making them to struggle. That is not making them to struggle. For those that have started this journey, that started this journey of learning and all of those things with me, speak with them. They will tell you that they are not in that place where they used to be. Even if it is one course, even if it is 2 courses that you take, you will find out that and you implement. Yes, I need to put that. You implement. You will find out that there's going to be changes, even if it is little in whatever it is that you are doing. So now think about it. If you commit to something, if you commit to it and you continue to learn about it, things are going to change drastically. So it is not everybody that is struggling with parenting. It is not everybody. Yes, it is hard work. We need to put in the work. And when we put in the work, we are going to get the result. And when we're saying putting in the work, it is not, a sharp thing. It is not a sharp thing. It is not a do it and get results quickly. It is something that you need to commit to the process and you continue to it and you'll see the changes, right? So it is not everybody that is struggling. Knowledge will elevate you. Knowledge will elevate you. Parenting knowledge will take away your struggles. It will take away your struggle. I appreciate if somebody can help me put that in the comment section. Parenting knowledge will elevate you. It will elevate your parenting journey. It will not make you struggle like others will struggle, right? So low emotional intelligence adults often misinterpret other people's emotions, like I said, and making them prone to social rejection and loneliness. Yes, this is something that is very common. And that's why I said it from the beginning that this is exactly why people will tell you that, I don't have friends, so my children are my friends. Even those that you see that have friends, you'll find out that they are hypocritical about the things that they do. Yes, because of a lack of emotional intelligence. Right. Another thing that children who lack emotional intelligence, another thing that they have is that there's going to be hindrance of career growth. Yes, there's going to be hindrance of career growth. Emotional intelligence is one of the strongest predictor of workplace success. I say that again. Emotional intelligence is one of the strongest predictor of workplace success. I tell people that intelligence gets people their job. It gets people jobs. But emotional intelligence, a lack of emotional intelligence, ejects them out of that job. Yes, this is something that is, this is something that I have seen. This is something that has happened. Intelligent quotient gets people the job that they want. But the lack of emotional intelligence ejects them out of that system. It ejects them out of that job. Right? So without EI, one will face challenges with colleagues, one will face challenges in leadership and in conflict management. And of course, there's no how you can be in a system that there won't be conflicts. If you're in your family system, there's going to be conflicts. But your ability to put yourself, to be aware of yourself, your ability to be able to control your feelings, your ability to be able to control things around you, your ability to be able to resolve conflict effectively is what will make that system be together. There's no system without conflict. But if you lack that skills for you to actually be able to manage that situation, you're going to lose it, right? You need to know that skills will open doors that intelligent quotient might not be able to open. Skills will open. It will open doors that intelligent quotient might not be able to open. One of those skills is emotional intelligence, social intelligence, interpersonal relationship, communication. They will open doors that intelligent quotient might not be able to open. Right. So Daniel Goleman, who is the father of EI, he did a research that shows that 67% of the ability that is essential for effective leadership are related to emotional intelligence. I'll say that again. He made a research that shows that 67% of the ability that is essential for effective leadership are related to emotional intelligence. I'm talking about leadership because as a parent, you are a leader in your home. How are you leading your followers? You're a leader. As soon as you started having children, you are leading. Your children are looking up to you, so you are a leader. So AI has, 67% of that ability for you to be able to lead your children effectively, to lead anywhere is related to emotional intelligence, right? There was also a study by Talent Smart that found out that emotional intelligence is responsible for 58% of job performance in various roles. If you lack emotional intelligence, there's every possibility that one fails at work. Now, look at all of these things. We're talking about how it actually translates to your child's success. You can imagine. Your child knows everything that is required. Your child is a A-list child. But your child lacks the skills. He lacks all of these skills. Look at how important we have said that it is. Right? So children who lack emotional intelligence grow into adults who know how to make a living, but not how to live. I'm going to explain that again. Right? They grow into adults who knows how to make a living. They will know how to make a living. They will know how to survive. They will put food on the table, but they won't be able to thrive because they lack emotional intelligence. They lack empathy. They lack the ability to control their emotions. So it will get people, it will put children into adults who does not know how to make a living, but who just know how to live. Making a living is different from, just how to live. Right. Let me leave the remaining of this for parents that have registered for EI, because let me not go so much inside. We want to talk about how it translates to the success of your child. If you are not in that course, you're already missing. Please be there. Be there. This is a course that we run just once in a year. After this year, we're going to be having it next year again. So you don't want to miss it, right? So another thing that children will lack here, that they have, is poor decision making. Poor decision making. This is another effect of a lack of emotional intelligence. Without emotional awareness, adults often make poor decisions due to emotional reaction rather than rational thought. Right? A lot of time we just, we make decisions just based on our emotions. I shared a video some days back about a child who was hit and wanted to eat his own back. Of course, we even have parents that say things like, if anybody beats you, so you have to beat your own back. Then when a case of bullying surfaces on internet, people start saying, that bully, I just pity those children because they are just a result of what the environment is. They are just, they're just, what's the word now? They're just, a result of whatever it is that they have seen. In this age, one will still see people telling their children, if anybody should beat you should beat your own back. And we'll now start coming back and, there are a lot of hypocrisy that we really need to work on as parents. Lots and lots and lots like that. Poor decision making. I'm not going to digress again, right? They often find it very, they find it difficult to make decisions due to emotional reaction. We just react to emotions. Okay, I was talking about the video of that boy. If that boy just wanted to react, of course, I didn't do anything to you. You hit me, I will hit you back times too. Yes, that is our amygdala at work. That is our amygdala at work. But we need to put ourselves in a place whereby we start making our neocortex work. We start making our prefrontal cortex work, and not just our amygdala. I'm going to talk, a little bit about that as we go on, because we find ourselves in a place whereby we emotionally react to situations rather than us to think about it, rational thoughts, to give it, deep thoughts. A child without emotional intelligence will grow up seeking validation from people rather than seeking peace within. That's it. They will end up seeking validation from people because they were not validated at all. When they tell you that they feel unhappy, you tell them, is that why you're now sad? You're not sad because you're not sad. I like to tell people that, what you feel when you're looking for your car keys is the same thing your child feels when the child is looking for their toys. So when they cry and they say they're looking for their toys, instead of you to dismiss that feeling of, is that why you're not crying? If you can't even offer that help of telling them, you tell them, you understand how they feel. It can be very, sad or even overwhelming trying to look for something that is very important to you. Right? Think about why you often eat your children. I want you to sit down. If we still have people that have been listening to this, course, listening to me every Friday, and you still find yourself in a place whereby you're still eating your children, sit down and think about it. It's mostly for validation on your parenting journey. Think about it. And that's why when you go out and your child does a mistake, you eat the child, so that people will just be able to say, yes, that's just it. Think about it. Or we do things so that people will be able to get the praise of people. Yes, sir, you are doing so well. That's how it's over. No nonsense. No, it's because we seek people's validation. It is not necessarily because of what that child has done, because of a lack of emotional intelligence. If you grew as a child, if during your childhood your feelings were not validated, you grew up seeking validation from people rather than seeking peace within. That's the truth, right? So when you see yourself constantly rushing your children through school, it's a survival mentality. We just want them to finish up. That thing gets to me so much. I think about it a lot. We just want to just finish school and get a job. Just finish school. That's where we beat our children for not even understanding what they are being taught. How? Come on now. Like a mentor would say, why should we do something like that? Why should we find ourselves in a place whereby, we beat our children for the mistakes that we can also make? It's because of a lack of self-control, which is a major part of AI. Right? So when you see yourself constantly doing all of those things, it's just because you're in that survival mentality. You don't want people to say you have spoiled your child. You don't want people to say, we don't want people to say, because people will say, but that's it. We are seeking validation. Right? When we talk about intentional parenting, you should think of how to create and not how to consume. A lot of we're just raising children who want to consume. We want them to consume the jobs that are available. And that's why we keep on finding ourselves in a place whereby we want to rush our children through school. We want to say that, think about it. If you want your child to, finish through school very early and all of that, it's not for the betterment of that child. It's for your own ego. It's for you to satisfy your own ego. Think about it. Intentional parenting will take you from a place whereby you give your child the best. You put your child in a situation whereby you raise them to create and not just to consume. There's a research that the prefrontal cortex, I said we're going to talk, a bit about it. The prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, they need to work together in harmony. The prefrontal cortex is that part of the brain that helps with decision making, higher order thinking, social interactions, and all of those important things, right? And the amygdala is the emotional center of the brain. We call it the brain alarm system, right? It is the amygdala that tells you to just act on your emotions. Something has happened, you want to react emotively. It is the amygdala at work, right? So research has shown that you see these two parts of the brain, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, they need to work together in harmony for effective decision making, right? For effective decision making. But low emotional quotient disrupts that balance. I'm going to break it down a bit. When we're talking about yelling, sometimes last 2 months, yes, that was in February. When we're talking about yelling, I said that if you continue to yell, your child will not still listen. You will continue to struggle, your child will not still listen. Because what you are doing is that you are focusing on the amygdala of your child. You are growing that emotional part of your child's brain that makes them to act impulsively without thinking about it. So before we can actually be in a place whereby we're able to make decisions, you see, a lot of time we do not know that we chose the spouse that we are with right now because of emotions, because of our lack of emotional intelligence. It was just based on emotions, right? We have a lot of people that, they got married because they just wanted to escape from home, right? They wanted to escape from the problem at home. We had people that escaped, that left home and just wanted to marry because they felt that, I don't have a choice, let me just go with this man. That prefrontal cortex and the amygdala wasn't working in harmony. We acted based on emotions. We have people that married from self-pity. It's okay. That's why I said that. Yes, our parents made some of these mistakes. We made some of these mistakes, but going forward, our children should not make these mistakes. We do not have an excuse. We do not have an excuse. So when these two parts of the brain are not working in harmony, due to low emotional quotient, we're unable to make effective decisions. It's going to lead us to impulsiveness and wrong decisions. Right? I spoke about how a lot of us made, you now sit down and start thinking about it. Like, how did we even meet? As in, how did I even make this decision? When you are able to sit down and use that prefrontal cortex, that's when you are able to think, like, okay, yes, this is what happens to a lot of us. When we do certain things for our children, they will not start thinking about it. You don't even think about it. You start feeling guilty about it. You start feeling bad about it because you acted impulsively. You reacted. You didn't allow the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala to work. And that's why we always say that you should not respond. You should not react in the heat of the moment. Sit down, calm all the way down and listen. Think about it. But if your amygdala is always at work, which I tell people that once you're in that situation where you're always shouting, you're not giving your children the ability to think. You're not giving them the ability to make decisions because you're not allowing that part of the brain to do its work. Right? So yes, there's every possibility that we have made this mistake. We're not going to turn back the hands of time because we're not going to turn back the hands of, the hand of clock. Whatever it is that has happened. However, we are being intentional because we do not want those mistakes to repeat themselves in our children. And that's why we are that guide for them. We're only going to look into the future. And the future starts now. It is whatever it is that you sow, that is what you're going to reap. It starts now. Right? We have so many people that the only reason why they married was just because, the economic situation is bad. This guy has money. Let me just go. We do not think. It's something that has affected a lot of people because we were not raised with EI. Some were out of pity. Some of us, it was, due to escape from our childhood experiences. If there's any single person I doubt that are not sure that is listening to me right now, this is an opportunity for you to think about it before you make that decision. People will say that, you see that love, it's an emotion. It's going to put you in a particular place. Or it might not take you to other places that you're supposed to be. Love is going to help you to get married to that person. But there are certain things that will help you to remain in that place. Knowledge will help you. So when we say things like, we turned out, okay, like I said, it's a cover up from our trauma and the work that we need to do. Let us not run away from the work that we need to do. Let us accept the fact that our parents got it wrong. They tried their best based on the knowledge that they have. But we don't get it wrong with our children again. Another thing that a lack of EI does is that there's low resilience and coping ability. Like I said from the beginning, with my story, there's going to be low resilience. Something little has happened, you are down. You're able to bounce back. You are just there. Weeks, months, life is going on. But because we cannot manage that emotion, and that's why I said it is not what has happened to us that is the problem. It is our inability to manage what has happened. Low resilience and coping ability. Any little thing, we're overwhelmed. Yes, we can be overwhelmed. However, when we are in a calm, collected place and we are emotionally intelligent, we'll be able to bounce back. Resilience is the ability to bounce back when setback happens. It is our ability to bounce back when setback happens. Let us think about it. People that are supposed to lead that are male, let us look at it. Everyone is outside, even females. Because of a lack of emotional intelligence, we have built our children out of responsibilities. You see people say things like, I don't want my children to suffer like I suffered. I don't want my children to suffer. Then you build them. Then when you're no longer there, your children cannot thrive. Because you have built them from experiencing the things that are supposed to help them in life. You have built them from it. Right? But it's your ability to be able to bounce back when setback happens. It's closely tied to your emotional regulation. Without emotional regulation, adults find it very hard to recover from failure and to adapt to changes. Right? So stop bailing your children and expose them to work that gives them responsibilities. Raise responsible children. Don't always bail your child. Low resilience and coping ability. Right? There's also a study by the American Psychology Association that highlights emotional regulation as a core component of resilience. If you actually want to have that resilience, you want to be able to bounce back even when after something has happened to you, then you need to be emotionally intelligent, because it has been highlighted to be the core component of resilience. So adults with poor emotional regulation skills are more likely to be overwhelmed. They are going to become overwhelmed. Any little thing, you hear them say they're overwhelmed, right? Parents that are obsessed with intelligent quotient scores often forget that emotional intelligence is what keeps children thriving when life becomes harder. Because of course, because you finished top of your class, because you got a job as the chairman of an organization, does not mean back that problems will not come. But your resilience will help you to bounce back, even in the face of adversities. When adversities happens, you'll be able to bounce back. So if your parent who is just obsessed with IQ at school, straight A's, this, and you feel that child is doing well, it's a problem. It is a problem, right? Due to a lack of self-control, adults are prone to impulsive behavior. You just see us, adults, you just act impulsively without thinking. You need to know that discipline without emotional intelligence is nothing but controlled trauma. It's controlled trauma. You're just controlling your children. You just want them to obey you. If what you see as being intentional on your journey of raising children is for your children to be able to obey you, there's a problem. There's a problem. You need to think about it. Intentional parenting is not just about obedience. It's not just about for your children to tell you yes to everything, for them to obey you for everything. No. It is not. But the good news is that emotional intelligence can be learned like every other skills. It can be learned. There's a science about the neuroplasticity of the brain, that the human's brain is highly adaptable, which simply means that the brain has the ability to rewire itself. And adults can develop emotional intelligence with the right tools, with the right habits, with mindful practices, with cognitive behavioral practices. Emotion coaching, which will strengthen the neural pathways that is related to emotional intelligence. That's the good news. We can all work on this thing. It is a skill that can be learned. It is a skill that can be learned only if we're ready to have the right tools, if we're ready to develop the right habit, if we're ready to be mindful with whatever it is that we do, and there's cognitive behavioral practices. There is also, we're able to coach emotions to our children. This is something that is going to strengthen the neural pathway that is related to emotional intelligence, right? You need to know, like I said, I think I said it from the beginning of this session, that if you want to conquer anything, if there's anything that is not going well in your life, if there's anything that you feel that you want to be better at, you need to learn it. There are no two ways about it. You need to learn it. It's something that should be learned. It's quite unfortunate that we were not taught how to learn. We were just taught how to read and pass examinations. And that is one thing that is, Onkobawa, if you can allow me to use Yoruba, straight, I'm sorry. Are you still here? Right? It is something that is affecting us. Yes, that's the word. It is something that is affecting us. That's the only way out. of mediocrity. That's the only way out of how this is how people are doing it. This is how I want to do it too. Everybody is complaining. I'm also going to complain. Everyone is complaining about finance. Everyone is complaining about this. Everyone is complaining about that. You know, it's a general thing. It's not a general thing. We have people that are finding their way out of struggles. You can teach your children obedience or teach them self-control. You can teach them anyone you want to teach them. However, you need to know that obedience is going to help them to be compliant. They will just say, yes, sir, yes, sir. That's what you want. Yes, ma'am. But teaching them self-control will help them to become a capable individual. So what do you want to raise? Someone who is able to comply, who is able to comply with everything, even if it is negative, who is unable to make decisions on their own, or a child who is capable of making wise, effective decisions. Without emotional intelligence, children will be sound academically, and they are going to be emotionally bankrupt. I will appreciate if someone can help me put that in the comment section. Without emotional intelligence, children are going to be academically sound. Of course, whatever it is that we pay attention on, we will get it, but they are going to be emotionally bankrupt. So tell me, a child who is emotionally bankrupt, how does that child want to navigate life? How does that child want to navigate life challenges? So now let's quickly go to the last part of today's session. Why does emotional intelligence matter to children's success? Why does it matter? Emotional intelligence is more than understanding things. It is the foundation of your child's success. Yes, it is the foundation of your child's success. Every other thing, rest on it. Emotional intelligence, social intelligence are foundation to a child's success. When you help your child to develop emotional intelligence, it's not only make them to be, to be emotionally aware. It is not just leave them to be emotionally aware. It will help them to increase their interpersonal relationship. It will help them to build their social skills. It will help them to build their mental health. And it's finally that thing that we want, that academic performance that we want. Children will get it. A child who is unable to deal with emotions, they will struggle even with their academics. They will struggle even with their academics. They will find learning as something that is just difficult because they are unable to manage their emotions. Right? So what are the things that we need to do for us to be able to start raising children that are going to be emotionally intelligent, right? Teach emotional awareness. Teach emotional awareness. Help children to understand, to recognize, to understand, and to name their emotions before they can manage it. Help them to validate it, right? Don't belittle any emotions. Don't belittle it. Yes, your child feels this way. It's okay for you to feel that way. And they don't always be in a place whereby you want to help them out of that situation. Let them feel what they feel, because all feelings are valid, right? Use storytelling. Let them understand emotions. When you read a story to them, talk about the characters. How does this character feel? Something happened. How does this character feel? But first of all, before you can teach emotional awareness, you need to have it. You can't give what you don't have. We said that before. It's only what you have that is what you can give. So it's something that you need to learn first of all. So come to class and learn. Come to class and learn. It is something that you need to have first before you can actually teach it. Right? Another practical way which you can teach is that you need to model emotional intelligence. That's why I said all of these things, it all depends on you. Children learn by watching. When they see you managing your emotions well, they will also learn to manage their emotions well. They will imitate you. But when they see that you are just everywhere, you just act impulsively to situations, you just do the things, anything the way you like it, that's exactly what they are going to learn. And it's surprising. It's quite unfortunate that we now punish children for the things that they learn from us. Let's think about all of these things. We punish children for the things that they learned from us. When you see a elder sibling beating up a younger sibling, you start beating that elder sibling. The circle continues. You're just teaching your children, it's unfortunate, really, that the things that you don't want your children to do, you are displaying it, but you taught them indirectly. They were looking at you. They are just modeling what they see. So you need to model emotional intelligence. Our time is fast spent. Children learn by watching, like I said. When they see you managing your emotions, they will imitate you. But when they see that they're always everywhere, they will feel that, okay, that's what mom and dad does. And that's what we're also going to do, right? Teaching is good. Teaching is fantastic. Teaching is awesome. Teaching is amazing. But modeling is the best. Modeling is something that is very, very important. Emotional intelligence course is far more important than the no yelling challenge. Yes, if there's anyone that took the no yelling challenge, if you're unable to manage your emotions, if you're unable to master your emotions, you continue to yell. That's the plain truth. Yes, you might put structures in place, like we explained in the emotional, the no yelling challenge. You might put system in place. You might teach skills. But the truth is that skill that will help you to help your children, you don't have it, which is emotional intelligence. So you want to enroll for this class. right? It is the foundation. There's no sharp results. There's no one course that is going to solve your entire parenting struggles. No, it does not happen. I've been on this journey 6 years ago. I'm still on the journey because as my children are growing, I'm also going to grow, because the children are going to be facing different challenges at every stages of their lives. And I need to be at par. That is the only time I can guide them the way I should guide them. A lot of us come out and say something like, our children are Amana, our children are trust, our children are trust. But we forget the fact that, yes, they are trust. And we need to do the things that will help us to guide them right. Emotional intelligence is something that is very important. I was reading a book, this week, and I read about the Rasul, peace be upon him. When they spoke about, they were on a journey with Bilal. And, they wanted to take a nap. And then they told Bilal that when it is time for Salah, Bilal should wake them up for Salah. And, when they all slept, Bilal also slept. He was trying not to sleep, but he slept. And when they woke up after, after that time of Salah. It was after that time of Salah that he woke up and he woke them up. And the Prophet said, Bilal, why did you do this to us? And he said that the one who gave you the opportunity to sleep is the one that also took me away and made me sleep. And what the Prophet said, yes, there's no problem. If we were to be in that situation, whereby our children said, okay, mommy sleep, or mommy do this thing, don't worry, when it is time, I'll wake you up, and that thing happens, we'll criticize and condemn that child. It's a lack of emotional intelligence, because somebody has just offered to help, and okay, maybe the person was unable to do it. Then what you do is you start criticizing, condemning, and all of that. That's what a lot of us do. And that's the same thing our children are going to do. That's the same thing that our children are going to learn, right? Another thing you need to do at home that are practical is that you need to foster empathy. We spoke so much about empathy last month. Yes, you want to go back to the sessions if you missed any. The ability for you to understand and share the feelings of others, which is a core part of emotional intelligence. That's what empathy is. Encourage perspective taking. Encourage decision making. Encourage independent thinking. Don't be a, an helicopter parent. Don't always jump to solve your children's problem. However, you need to be able to understand and share their feelings. It is very important on your journey. If you have not put yourself in a place whereby you're able to sit down and think about it, what if it was me that this thing happened to? It is very wrong of us to demand from our children these skills that we have not taught them. They can't just learn it. We feel that because they are going to school, then they should know so much. No, it cannot just happen. We have to intentionally teach it. So encourage perspective taking. Stop shoving your ideas down your children's throat. Stop shoving your ideas down their throat. Ask them. Speak with them. You can only do that if you are humble, if you become humble. You can only do that if you are emotionally intelligent. You can only do that if you put yourself in the place of calm, even in chaotic situation. The moment you're unable to do, and that's why I said that emotional intelligence is so important that if you do not have it, every parenting strategy that you learn, you might not be able to put it into place, because emotional intelligence is important. Teach emotional regulation, right? Emotional regulation is what makes children manage their impulses and stay calm under pressure. If you teach your children math without emotional regulation, they will learn how to calculate their problems without knowing how to solve them. I'll say that again. If you teach your children if you teach your children math without teaching them how to regulate their emotions, they will learn how to calculate their problems, but they won't know how to solve those problems, because it takes all of these skills, all of these things that were spoken about, for them to be able to make wise decisions to solve their problems. They will only sit down and worry and not be able to solve those problems, right? Another thing you want to do is to build a growth mindset. How do you build a growth mindset? You keep growing by yourself. I said it from the beginning, or let's say the middle of this session, that if parenting does not change you, nothing else is going to change you. Nothing else. Keep growing. Build a growth mindset. When your children do something wrong, let them know that, yes, it was a mistake. We can learn this thing again. You can grow from it. You can do it better than you know how to do it now. Don't always criticize and condemn. Teach social skills and communication skills to your children. These are the things that are very important. These are the practical things that we can put in place for us to be able, to become emotionally intelligent. But it's not something we can give to our children if we do not have it. That's just the truth. And that's why we're opening this course, Mastering Emotional Intelligence as a Parent. You don't want to miss this course. We're going to be starting, first of all, with a 5-day challenge, whereby I'm going to be sharing practical things that you need to do with your children for you to even be able to, to get the emotional capacity, for you to know where exactly you are, so that by the time we fully start the session, the course is going to be, it's going to make lots of sense to us. It's a 5-day course. So it's just like having 10 days of that course. Well, first of all, going to be having a 5-day challenge, whereby you're going to be gauging your emotional capacity. Then the course is going to start properly. The course is just 9,500 naira. Take advantage of it. The early bird offers ends very soon. Apart from the early bird offer, this course is not something I want to take more than 15 people. Once we reach that targets. I'm so sorry we might not be able to take so many people because it's a course that I want to be able to sit down with everyone and help them analyze their emotional capacity. So you don't want to miss this course. Take advantage of it. It's something that is going to, it is a course that is going to run in last week in April. Yes, I am right. And the campaign is going to start. You being here is an opportunity for you. Take advantage of the course and be in class. Be in a system whereby you're going to learn. And don't just come to class and just be there. Follow through with whatever it is that is being taught. It is not about attending the course. It is about learning and putting into action whatever it is that we have learned, right? I hope that you got here with me and you were not multitasking. Let me say that again, right? I really appreciate, I love this conversation. I love having this conversation with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And I think I'm going to take questions if there are any questions, but if there are no questions, I think it's okay for us to call it a session. We've used more than 1 hour and it's supposed to be a 1 hour session. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that you left all that you were doing and you came. This is, this is a step that you want something really good for your children. And I applaud you for that. I pray that this is going to weigh heavily for you, right? Thank you so much for joining me on today's session. I'll see you again next Friday, God willing. If there are questions, I'll be expecting them in the community and I'm going to take them and answer them, God willing. Amin wa antum fa jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you so much for joining me, Miss Nirat. I see you. Miss Wande, I see you, Miss Idaya, Miss Nima, Miss Akinola, Miss Bankole, Miss Nasifa. There's a Jaji, there's a something that is showing, but I can't see the full name. Thank you so much for joining me. Nima, Jumai, Miss Jumai, thank you so much for joining me. See you again next week. Amin wa antum fa jazakumullahu khairan. See you again next week, Friday. Bye, everyone.